Hello and welcome to this crochet tutorial on how to make this V-stitch pocket shawl. In this tutorial I will show you this one row repeat used also in the pockets for the making of this shawl. You will find it will go by pretty quickly. It's very soft, very flexible, and very warm. The length of it is long enough that you can use it to cover your head if need be and still have use of the pockets. So come join me in the making of this V-stitch one row repeat striped pocket shawl. Let's get started. The materials and the tools that we're going to be using in making of this pocket shawl, I have two shades of blue here. One is a colonial blue and one is a light blue. I have two shades of a beige. One is called buff and the other one is called Aran. The main color will be white, and then my other color is brown. The tools that we're going to be using is a large eye tapestry needle, pair of scissors, and here I'm using a crochet hook, I9 5.50 millimeter. Now in the making of this video you see that I used the dark brown first. Even here you can tell that it's hard to see for filming purposes. Now if I was here in a room of people, yes, you'd be able to see it very easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing the exact same thing, but I'm going to start with blue for this tutorial so that way you can see the simplicity of this stitch. I think you're going to really enjoy it. It's going to go pretty quickly. So let's you can go ahead and, if you're planning on using the same colors as me, go ahead and start with the brown, but I'm going to show you how to do it in blue. And please note that through this one row repeat you can make it all one solid color, or you can do like I did and use the various colors for what interest of clothing you may choose to wear it with. So let's get started. I'm going to pull up the blue like I just said. Now before I begin any project, I always like to pull out an ample amount of yarn. I'm sure that if you've seen in my other videos, the reason for this is so that as you're creating your chain stitches, you don't have the problem of, if you choose to go from the outside of your skein or the inside, you will still maintain that proper tension without losing the tension that you need. I always like to pull mine from the center skein. So to begin, let's start with a 6-inch tail, and let's place a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to begin with a chain of 79. And for those who are interested in the multiples, it's a multiple of 3 plus 4. So go ahead and make your chain of 79 and I'll meet you there. Let's count back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 5th stitch place 1 double crochet. Chain 1, and in that same stitch a second double crochet. we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the third one, double crochet. Do not chain in between the last double crochet of the chain before to the new one. Okay, and then chain 1, and then double crochet into that same space. This stitch that we are creating is called a V-stitch. Okay, you can see how you have one side of the V, the opening separation, and the other side of the V. And then the 2 spots in between help it to spread open a little bit. For this row of your shawl, you'll have a total of 25 V-stitches going across. So let's move on. Skip 2 stitches or 2 chains and into the third, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So keep going till you get to the end of the row, and I'll meet you there. Now you notice at the end of the row you'll have 2 chains left. This is okay. You're going to skip the 1, and in the last chain 1 double crochet. This will be part of our lift at the end of the row, and then I'll show you the difference for the beginning of the row right now. Okay, so we have our V-stitch across with 1 double crochet at the end. At the beginning of the row, we're going to chain 3, turn our work. Remember to pull our yarn out. Okay, now this chain 3 does count as a double crochet. So we're going to skip that double crochet and into the chain 1 space that is part of that V-stitch. We're going to create a second, our first V-stitch of this row. So yarn over, just go right into the opening, create a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet into the same space. On to our second one. You can see where our double crochet, chain 1, double crochet is right here. Into that next chain 1 space, we're going to do our V-stitch again. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now you're going to repeat this pattern all the way to the end of the row. When you get to this last V-stitch, I'll show you how to finish the row and start onto your next row. So I wanted to show you how I change colors when using this V-stitch. Get my yarn out. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row where I'm ready to change my color. So yarn over. I'm going to the top of the chain 3, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, and stop. I have my second color here, which is Aran. Now I'm going to leave a tail for sewing, and I'm going to loop it over my hook and pull it through. Then I take the blue and tighten it down a little bit onto the white, And then I'm going to take the tails. Here, first I'm going to leave some extra. And I'm going to make a square knot. I know it's a lot of yarn, but this particular one I'm working on is a pocket. And I need the extra yarn. Okay, so I'm going to leave that here. And then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn my work. And into that first V, continue on. Okay, so as we add our change of color here, we would take our yarn here, and with our tapestry needle, we'll take it and weave it in the color according to whatever color you have, and then cut it close to the edge. So for my scarf, I did 3 rows of brown. The light blue color I did 5 rows. And how you can count your row is by your V. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the colonial blue, I've done 4 rows. The lighter shade of the 2 beiges, this one's called Aran. I did 9 rows here. For the tan or the beige color here, I did 4 rows. For the white, I did 62 rows. Then, since I have it folded in half, you can see how I repeated 4 rows of tan, 9 rows of the Aran, colonial blue is 4 rows, light blue 5 rows, and 3 rows of the brown. Okay, I will give you a number of how many total rows in case you choose to make it a solid color. So if my math is correct, let's see, the total rows that we have is 112, in case you choose to do it as a solid piece. Let's move on to our pockets. Now I've created one pocket already. As you can tell, I started with the beige and ended up with the colonial blue. So that way I can place it on top and still have my pockets kind of blend in with the stripes that I have. I'm going to be placing it more towards one side than I am in the center. And this particular pocket, I'm going to show you while I'm recording here, is big enough or wide enough to fit my cell phone, which is the intended purpose for this, besides helping keeping your hands warm. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to create your pockets and how to determine how many colors you may want for your stripe placement if you want it to blend in. So if you look at where my pocket placement is, it looks like it's already been crocheted in, right? Oh, so I decided that where I wanted to place my pocket was just a few, let's see, this one was 5 rows, this one's, so I placed mine at the 9th row and going up the amount of rows for the coloring that I had here. If you would like to have it down here and you want your colors to be different, it'll still look nice. Whatever you choose to do, this is for your making of this. I also noticed too that as I was doing all this, this particular pattern, 1 row repeat, went really, really quick. So in the making of this pocket, you want to leave long ends for sewing, and that'll help make it easier without having to add additional yarn as we're making it. So let's go ahead and get the colors that you want to do first. It looks like mine will be the colonial blue again, and then we'll go ahead and work up for the Aran color that I'm going to be using next. So let's get the colors we need and place a slip knot on our hook with an 18-inch tail. So we want to be able to sew it on, so let's start with a long tail and place a slip knot on our hook. Now for the width of my phone, I have a Note 8, and my Note 8 is, I think, like 6.5 inches wide. So you notice that the pockets that I'm putting in are going to be about 8 or 9 inches. The pocket that I'm doing will have 9 V-stitches across. So in order to get that, we're going to start off with a chain of 31. So continue on with your chain until you get to 31. And as before, we're going to skip 4. Do not count the one on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, and into that 5th one, double crochet. Chain 1, double crochet into the same chain. And we're going to continue this across, skip 2 chains, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that 3rd chain. Okay, so as you go all the way across, you will stop. Your last V-stitch will be in the 3rd chain from the end, so we will skip this last chain and double crochet in the very final chain. I'll meet you there. After the last V-stitch, skip that 1 chain and double crochet into the last one. I know you've done this a million times for this particular shawl, but I just wanted to remind you. So here, chain 3, turn your work, V-stitch into that first chain 1 space, and V-stitch all the way across. As you can tell, this is how mine will look. Continue with the process, determining how many colors. If you're following mine, the colonial blue, I will create 4 rows of V-stitches. Then I will change it to the Aran color and do 9 rows. So I will meet you after I finish. Let's see, 9 and 4 is 13, so 13 rows of V-stitch of the 2 colors. Now, sewing on our pockets. I've placed mine down. I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the 5th one, I'm lining it up, and I'm matching the colors for my row here. I'm going to take the beige color here, or the Aran. I'm going to thread my needle. I'm just going to do a basic whip stitch, picking up 2 or 3 of the stitches from below, as well as 2 and 3 stitches from above. Now, being that it's on this table, it may seem like a long process, but actually, if you have it in your lap, it'll go a bit quicker. So here I'm going to pick up 2 or 3 from the bottom and 2 or 3 from the pocket, and I'm going to pull it through. And I'm going to keep right on going here until I get to the end of the row. So keep right on going till you get to here, and I want to show you how to secure the end of this row so that it will maintain the square that we need. Now you notice here that my pocket has 8 rows instead of the 9, so that's why you still see a little bit of the Aran here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double stitch it a couple of times to help secure the end of that pocket, basically going through the same stitching area. And then I'm going to come back in another direction. And that'll help make it so that that pocket won't fall. It'll be kind of like the top of a pants pocket that you have. Then I'm going to take it to the back side and lock my stitch back here and weave in my ends. Notice how when I go under, I go over the top and come back. This helps make it so I don't lose what I just put in. And I usually do it about 3 times. When I get to the end, I cut it with about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch long. Any excess will end up weaving itself back in, and you won't even see this little end piece. For the second color, make sure you line it up. Now here I have 2 end pieces, one for the finish of the pocket and one for when I changed my color. So I'm going to take my color change one, and I'm going to continue down to here, and then I will finish it off. And then I will pick up the new one and go across and up to the other side here and lock it in there. Then my beginning piece, yarn tail right here, I will reinforce it here and come all the way down and finish it here. Go ahead and get that far, and I will show you what I will do for the other side on placing the pocket on. Well, my pocket blended in so well you can barely see it. And that was the idea that I wanted to do for my shawl. Now, to sew on the other one, you want to follow down to the other side, and you're going to want to place your pocket the same distance over, like so. So we're going to come over the 4, start it with the 5th one, and place it here. Now, where did I put my pocket? Yeah, I know it's here. I made 2 of them. Let me find it. Be right back. Call that my blooper. Oops. About ready to knock my hooks over too. So here's my other pocket with all my tails on it. So I'm going to bring it over so that the 4 show. Line up my colors. And I'm going to go ahead and sew around with the tails from my pocket here. And after that, we can start enjoying this. So let's go ahead and sew this on, and I'll show you how mine looks. So here we are with our completed shawl with pockets. Let's go ahead and place our cell phone in. Very warm, very comfortable. If you're outside and you would like to, I have long hair, use it as a headscarf as well. You still have that ability. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make this V-stitch pocket shawl. Very quick, very simple, and great for beginners. So till next time, take care. Bye-bye.